the thingy.
The thingy? I just realized I brought the wrong water bottle.
Oh, I brought the wrong water bottle.
You brought the wrong water bottle.
Yeah, I just grabbed
the
one
hard
that
to
was
say.
on the counter.
Hello, everybody. We are live. I pressed the button I didn't tell you.
Oh, okay.
It's a good thing you didn't show your true self as in front of all the people. Like, I'm secretly really mean.
Or just talking about glitter.
Well, that would be weird too. Hello, everyone. Thanks for being here. Glad you're here. Welcome to another awesome Wednesday night. It's going to be cool because we're all hanging out with the coolest people on the face of the earth, and that's you. So I am very glad. We are very glad you are here. Thanks for being here. We don't have a special topic tonight. We are going to be talking about your stuff. So I hope that over the course of the week, you thought of some really sweet questions. That's my hope. Mary Paige Flynn, thank you for being here, and thank you for a little cool sticker. Appreciate it very much. Just want to say right off the bat, thanks to all the moderators who showed up. We were just commenting right before the stream. Oh my gosh, we got so many here. Oink Master, Wendy, Mary, Dave, James.
Killer Kitty 08.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Killer Kitty 08. So we got a bunch of people here.
Yay, it's a party.
Which is pretty awesome. So as is always the thing, we want to talk a little bit about what's going on for the week and beyond. Okay, so we had Monday, and Monday's video was all about the swaps. So if you are somebody who someday thinks you may want to go to a swap, or maybe you've been to one and you're just not liking the results, we've got a game plan for you. There are things you should know about a fish swap that we think will be pretty helpful, right?
Yeah, and if you've never been to a fish swap and you want to, you can just watch the video and it's like you were there.
Only without buying all the stuff and coming home and having a lot of fun afterwards. But so that was Monday. Today, on the Small Scape, your channel, you did what?
Well, I did similar to what you did last week. It was Aquachella, the tanks.
Me.
No, because
She
it was
ripped
my
me
own.
off.
It was my own take because
Come up with your own ideas.
I did. They're aquascapes. I'm an aquascaper, so who copied who, pal?
I don't know. I copied you and then I got the video out right away so I could be first.
That's right. But I named the winners. Well, tried to showcase. Although some of my footage, I'm a newbie when recording, and I have my own camera now, and it was the first event that I took my new camera to. So when I did a lot of the editing, so I got to mess with my own crappy footage. And some of the shots I really wanted, couldn't get because, it wasn't there. But anyways, I got to show off a lot of the really awesome aquascapes. And
And I do like it. You actually showed a few tanks that I didn't show because I missed a couple of really good ones in when I was walking around. So that was cool. And you did get to show, you named the winners, which I think is awesome, which I didn't do because for a lot of them I didn't necessarily know who was the winner. And that was one of the cool things about Aquachella is you get to see people with a lot of skill. And I think one of the other things too, and I don't think we mentioned this last week, was all the young people coming up through the fish keeping hobby. I mean, we've mentioned Cat's Aquatics before and all the stuff that she's doing, like 19 or 20 years old, has a business. Jamie from Aquarium Info, she's killing it on YouTube. The kid, Joey and the Keys, I think is his YouTube. Hold on, I want to see. I want to make sure that I'm saying it right. He's like 8 or 9 years old, and it was cool because he's got a channel that he just started out. He's very personable for a kid. I mean, there's no way. Yeah, Joey and the Keys. There's no way that I would be that personable at that age. That I know for sure. No. I'm not even that personable at this age. So. But that was cool to see kids coming up and doing their own thing too. So, yeah, I liked the video today because it was a slightly different perspective than what I did.
That's what you get with me.
Yeah,
different.
So that is true. Tomorrow is Thursday, so we got the members only video. I am going to be taking members behind the scenes because I was very, very busy for about 3.5 or 4 hours today. Well, just in the fish room, but basically all day in the fish room. Don't spoil it because for Friday, y'all are going to get to see what I was busy doing. So tomorrow on your second channel, Container Joy, you've got some. Do you want to reveal what you're going to be talking about? You might as well.
Okay, it has something to do with succulents.
Succulents.
For those of you who love succulents.
I hate them. And let me explain why. And I really do.
I know
I
why.
hate them
I know why.
because all I want to do is go vroom, 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 in a boom, boom.
Good.
All right. So anyway, all I want to do at night when it's dark outside and you're turning on the lights in the house is I want to just close the blinds because I don't need everybody walking by and be like, oh, what are they doing today? So in a normal place, that would just mean you just pull the blinds down or you pull the little string, but not here. That's not what that means. It means I look at the windowsill in the bedroom and then also in the studio with the window over here, and I'm like, it's going to take me like 15 minutes to close these blinds because first I have to move all these plants that you've put on the windowsill every morning onto a dresser. And inevitably what happens is one tips over because you've got them all situated in a weird way in all these little mini containers. And it's just, it always happens that way.
You need to be careful.
I try to be careful, but it's not easy to be careful, especially if it's before bedtime. I'm like, all I want to do is go to bed. And I'm trying to carry pots of little tiny succulents everywhere. But if you like that sort of thing, then I am sure you will like Container Joy, your second channel, because you talk about land plants there. It's not fish related.
No.
I already mentioned Friday, y'all are going to get to see what I was busy doing today. Saturday, you've got a video coming out on the small scape. Have no idea what it is, but I'm sure it'll be amazing. So
it will be.
That's what's going on. Now, thank you, by the way, to everybody who came to the GCCA swap on Sunday. It was great meeting so many of you. That was a lot of fun. I think we brought 50. It was like we were really moving. We were up at 4 a.m. on Sunday.
Yeah.
We bagged well over, I mean, it was the most we've ever done. And we usually bring somewhere like 40, 45 bags. But I think we brought closer to 55 bags this time. And we only brought home like 4 or 5 bags. So that was pretty cool. Mm-hmm. So thank you for coming out. The next things that we will be at, I don't know if I have dates in my brain. So March, this is March. Nothing this month. April, there are 2 swaps. There's a Greenwater and a GCCA swap. So if you go to greenwateraquariusociety.org or gcca.net, the dates will be there. I don't have them memorized. I probably should, but that's our next things. GCCA I know is the 24th of April, and that must mean Greenwater would be the week or 2 before that. Probably, don't quote me, but probably somewhere around the 10th or so, I think. So we got a whole bunch of stuff rolling in here that I want to talk about real fast. So hold on.
Just so you know, somebody else says, that sounds like a conversation that would be had in my house.
Yeah, well,
and that would be your friend John.
I'm sorry. Dude.
Thanks, John. Lisa gets it.
So John's
I know she
here?
does. Yeah.
John, I'm not going to go through the whole thing because I scared the ever-loving stuff out of Joanna last night.
Yeah.
But because she came rolling and she was up late doing her video edit, and I fell asleep and I had a dream that Joanna and I were at your place. It's haunted. That's all I'm going to say. So just be really careful because it really creeped me out.
Because he had a dream.
Because I had a dream.
That. So there you go.
But it's going to be awesome. Anyway, welcome, Chuck, to becoming a primate, primetime partner. Glad you're here hanging out with the crew. And I'm scrolling on down because the chat is now all froze up. And we talked about Mary Page. Thank you very much. Yay. Hold on. Nanners. Glad you're here. Thanks for becoming a primetime primetime partner. Oh my gosh. Tesla Killdozer coming in with the crazy super chat. 1723. Thank you so much. I have a turquoise Severum that got beat up by an Oscar. Well, that stinks. He's in a tank by himself, but some areas of his scales have a whitish look. I medicated with Maricin. That's good. He is staying at the bottom of the tank. All right, so you're using the meds that I would probably use. You know, sometimes even like the ick meds, like the ICX and stuff, because it's an antiprotozoal, also sometimes work on infections because it's methylene blue also will work. A little bit of salt, not a ton, because you're dealing with a Severum, so they're not going to like high amounts of salt, but a little bit of salt. What I mean by that is like a tablespoon per 8 to 10 gallons can also help, and just give him some time. If he's by himself, usually that's going to be a better prognosis. It'll heal a little faster, a little bit less stress, but I'm sorry that happened because that's pretty stressful. Moving on down, Charlotte, thank you for becoming a prime timer, primate, prime time partner. And we got Fish Fan 20 Gallon Long, who sent us some pictures of a really cool aquascape.
Very nice.
Very good. Very advanced for someone who hasn't done a whole lot. Good evening to the dynamic duo. Who's that? That must be you and your other personality.
Me and my plants.
Glad you liked my aquascapes. Oh, there we go. I had fun with it because I felt like you were with me due to all of the advice and encouragement. We're all grateful for you. Well, thank you so much. I'm glad that you had fun because that is the number one thing. The last thing we want is for our hobby to turn into a job or something that we're not really...
shouldn't be stressed out.
Yeah.
Like Whip's World. You shouldn't be stressed out like Whip because he's stressed out about escaping.
Oh, yeah. No, you don't need to...
You're supposed to have fun. Just practice.
Just pile rocks in the center like I do. That's not stressful at all.
Mm-hmm.
That's not stressful. Elizabeth, thank you for being a member for the last 4 months. That's pretty awesome. Love you guys. I've got 2 baby albino plecos. Feeding them kelp wafers. Not sure if they are eating them or if other fish are. So the best way to, when it comes to plecos, especially if you're worried about whether or not they're getting enough food, is feed them after the lights go out. Plecos, bristlenose plecos in particular, are going to be active at night. So if you want to drop a kelp wafer or 2 at night, the other fish, and I mean like the lights have gone off, they've been asleep for or the lights have been off for 15, 20 minutes, half hour. Throw a couple of those kelp wafers in, and if they're gone in the morning, you know that they're probably the ones eating them. Now, if there's other scavenger type fish in the tank, sometimes some of the catfish will be up as well. But that's a great way to hopefully solve that. All right, let me see here. We've got, hold on, now my eyes are going to play tricks on me here. You can read this one because I can't see. I'm squinting, Jerry, I'm squinting.
Shane something, 1331.
All right, so you can't read either. For some reason, the font on that one came through a lot smaller. But anyway, thank you so much for being a member for the last 2 months. Appreciate that. Ricky, member for 13 months. Hi. Jason and Joanna, well, thank you. Thank you for being here. Glad you're here. Wayne's Aquatics, appreciate the super chat. Hello. Can snails transfer disease? Bought some fish and snails on Saturday, but the snails in main tank, fish in quarantine, few days later saw ick on fish. The snails, the types of diseases that snails will carry are typically going to be most predominant if the snails were in an outside tub, or if they were grown outside, or if they were bred outside, because most of the parasites that would utilize a snail as an intermediate host typically go from either a bird to a snail to a fish, or a mammal to a snail to a fish. If you don't have that cycle, even if the parasites are there and they go from the snail to the fish, the way that they get back into the mammal or the bird is that mammal or bird eats the fish. So once you break that cycle, typically that's not going to be an issue. But I have found, at least in the aquarium hobby, that that's not something I worry about. Snails don't get ick. They're not going to get an ick infection and spread that to fish. Could ick parasites potentially be resting on the shells? I suppose, maybe. But it's one of the reasons why I typically don't quarantine snails. I tend not to worry about it. I've never had a problem doing it. Not saying it's impossible not to have a problem, but it's possible.
Okay.
All right, what you got?
Deanna Russell, we met her at the swap.
Yeah.
Yep. Love meeting you, blah, blah, blah. Let's see, wait. Blah, blah. Oh, and the Tiger Limia are doing great.
Good, that's good to hear. So, yeah,
hope your drive home was good.
Yeah, Tiger Limia are they my favorite live bear of all time? I can't think of one that I like more.
No, you've said that before, I think. Yeah, you like them.
But I just want to make sure I'm not forgetting one that I absolutely love. And
got over?
Yeah, I do. I prefer Tiger Limia over pretty much every other live bear. I just find them really interesting. I love their color. I like the fact that they've got that greenish color. Not a lot of fish have a true green to them.
True.
And they do. So that is why I like them. Mm-hmm. Let's see here. KG John says, haha. So I guess you won't be visiting then? Oh, no, we'll still visit. But if I hear... So here's what happened.
Oh, no.
Can I just talk about it?
No.
It's really creepy.
Yeah,
but it wasn't
let it lie. Just drop it.
All right. No, we'll still come visit. But
moving on.
I just want to make sure that I have one of those things that they use in the ghost hunter shows that detect things, or Ghostbusters.
No, I was going to say
a
just
plasma
get a trap.
Pack. I want to. Yeah, I
Just
need
get a trap.
Is it the plasma pack?
No, plasma.
Is that what they wear? That's what they wear, right?
That's the thing they wear on their back.
That's what I want.
But you need the trap to catch them.
Oh, I don't care about that. I'll just zap them. That's the main.
But you can only hold them with that thing.
No, you can shoot them with that. They're not coming back after you zap them. I'll just keep zapping.
Whatever.
It's fine.
I actually have a Ghostbusters jacket, and what's really cool is that it has removable Velcroed name tags. So I could be Venkman. I could be Spangler, Zetamore, or
you could
Stance.
just be yourself as.
I'm just saying, it's really cool.
Sharpie Aquatics says, great meeting you both at GCCA Swap, and thanks for the tip to visit Fish Planet. Great store and highly recommend. Cool. We still got to get out there.
I know.
Yeah, we need to get out there. Let's see here. Claudia, thank you very much for the little sticker guy. Very cool. Appreciate it. All right, let me see here. We got, oh my gosh, things just skipped around on me. Molly Moore, thank you for becoming a prime-time or prime-time partner. I hope you enjoy the experience. Glad you're here. Corleone, appreciate the super chat. By the way, I love you guys. What's the cure for blackbeard algae? Well, the cure is multifaceted, in my opinion. One, I start with light and food. So at least in terms of the algae. Light, I want to make sure my light's not on too long, that my light's not too intense. I know that can be kind of hard to figure out, but for us, we have planted tanks in most of our tanks in our fish room, as I'm sure most of you are aware. And so that means our lights are on for 9 hours a day, and they're split between morning and night. Just as importantly, we want to make sure that the blackbeard algae doesn't have a lot of food to eat in the form of nitrate. The way that we deal with that is, one, we do water changes, and that helps us keep our nitrates around 20 parts per million or less in the vast majority of our tanks. And or we put in plants that will compete with the blackbeard algae, so stuff that grows really fast, things like hornwort, guppy grass, water sprite, water wisteria. These are plants that will also take those nitrates out. If you can't put plants in the tank because maybe you've got fish that will eat the plants or you just don't want to deal with it, putting pothos stems where the pothos grows out on top of the lid or in the back of a hang-on back filter, as long as it has access to light, it'll start growing roots into the water, as long as the fish don't eat the roots, and most don't. And then you get some competition. You might not ever make it completely go away, but you will control it to a point where it doesn't spread. We've got blackbeard algae in at least, I don't even know, at least a half a dozen, maybe 6 or 8 tanks. I don't worry about it because it's never grown out of control, because we try to just manage it with competition. So that's how we roll. If you really wanted to absolutely kill it, you could drain, let's say it's on plants or decorations or something, and you wanted to drain your water, not all the way because obviously the fish are in there, but if you wanted to, or remove the decorations or drain the water to the point where the decorations are exposed to air, you could take hydrogen peroxide, spray it, leave it for about 5 minutes, put the water back, fill the tank back up, maybe it's a water change. That will often kill it. Fish that will potentially, maybe, possibly consume it, there aren't a lot. The one is the Siamese algae eater. That's probably most well known, but if they're also getting well fed, they might not eat it as much. So that's the blackbeard algae thing. Oh my gosh, John says, please talk about it. I need to know. I'll probably have to call you because it really freaked her out. Now, then she couldn't sleep last night after I told her the story. I mean, it's not unkid friendly or anything. It's not really bad, but it was pretty darn creepy, man.
It's weird.
It was weird.
Your brain is weird, though. Okay. Whip says, I did a thing today. Guess what it is? Guess. Okay. I can't wait for you to guess.
I was going to say, you got a pair of Air Jordans. I don't know. You got throwback Air Jordans? Sweet. Told you, my brain's just a random mess.
Anyways.
My brain is like a bag of cats tonight.
He bought Keystone Clash tickets today. I've never been.
Yeah, me neither. When is that? Somebody tell us when that is.
Isn't that in the spring?
Oh, no, I don't know. So anyway, tell us when it is, because I kind of want to go to that. I'm already sort of bummed because there's what is going on here with this sticking. I know I have a stray piece of hair, but anyway, on my beard. I'm already bummed because Aquaticon was something I wanted to go to, and that's not going to happen because there's scheduling conflicts. And then I also wanted to do the Triple Crown, which is the ACA and all that. I've been talking about that, but that is literally the weekend right before we leave for Dallas Aquachella, so that's not going to work.
Yeah. Poop.
So, yeah, those were things I'd like to go to. So if the Keystone Clash is kind of separated from all the other stuff, that would be pretty cool. Mike Fish Tank Barn, what's up? Thanks for the super chat. Ghost Zapper fun. Nice seeing you guys at the swap. It's great seeing you too. It's always great when you come hang out with us. Mike is like the designated, although he didn't have to really get into his full-on designation on Sunday, but he's our designated person who drives all the people around.
That's right.
He's got the van, and that van is legendary.
You should have a decal that goes on your car.
Yep.
Ricky says proton pack. Duh.
Yeah,
that's right. It's a proton pack.
I said plasma pack. I know what I was. Y'all know what I was saying.
Goofball.
Flood City Fishkeeper, thank you for the super chat. Giving a tiger shovel nose and Epsom salt bath for swim bladder. Ever have any luck with this method, or should I try the syringe? 8 normal at 1:30 a.m. upside down, floating at 7 a.m. Oh, that stinks. I'm sorry that happened. I've never done the syringe. So in terms of swim bladder with Epsom salt, you've done it. Didn't you do it with a betta at one point? It did work. We don't have that issue a lot, so I know you did it. It did work, at least for a while, and then I think it came back, right?
Yeah, if I recall correctly, yeah.
So, but I haven't done, I'm sorry, I haven't done the syringe thing, so I'm not familiar with, like, best practices, if you will, and I don't want to tell you something that would be not good. Jamal says, how do I keep detritus down? Oh, keep detritus down. Gravel vac. That's, I mean, if you're just talking about the stuff that's at the bottom of the tank, if it's just fish waste, if you got sand, I take the gravel vac and just kind of swirl it above the surface of the sand if I think it's going to be something that's going to suck up. Or if it's gravel or it's a heavy sand, I just go right into it and suck that stuff up. I do it every week. I know a lot of people have different ways that they maintain their aquariums, and that's fine. But when we maintain our aquariums, the entire aquarium gets gravel vacked. If it's non-planted, it gets gravel vacked front to side, side to front, front to back. I mean, we're not picking up the rocks and decorations every week, but that gets done. If it's a planted tank, if there's areas where there are no plants, we'll gravel vac around there, or we will just kind of swirl it so we're picking up the stuff off the surface. But there's really, outside of that, I mean, I know people who will put power heads kind of down towards the bottom, especially people who have like large South or Central American cichlids, and then kind of blow that so it stirs it up and it winds up getting caught in the intake of, like, let's say a canister filter or a sump. So that's another thing, but a lot of times that's not the best thing because a lot of fish at the bottom maybe don't want to be fighting constant current either. So.
Leo209 Aquatics says, love the pygmy cories I got from Flip Aquatics. Thanks for the recommendation.
That's awesome.
Pygmy cories are the best.
Yes,
They're so adorable.
Pygmy cories are great, especially when you want that cory type of catfish and you've got a smaller tank, like a 10-gallon.
Or you want a lot of them.
Yeah, 4 to 6 in a 10-gallon usually works. And plus, unlike a lot of the other cory cats, they will swim around. They can be open water sometimes. Yeah. And then, so what winds up happening, at least a lot for us, is we'll get the pygmy cories, and at first they'll hang out together a lot. And then as they get more comfortable with the tank, you just see them kind of like one's on a plant over there and the other one's on top of a rock. They always seem to like to be on something, though.
Oh, they do. Yeah, I've got some funny pictures of.
Yeah, it's very rare that I see them actually on the ground. They're always like
they're like resting on a leaf.
I claim this rock for my own, or this Anubias leaf is perfect for me. So, yeah. By the way, this thing on my arm is. I know someone's probably
got out of line.
I spilled some paint in the garage, and then she took her cigar and burnt me. This is what you get for spilling paint in the garage. Am I stuttering? What movie is that from? Y'all should be able to get that one.
He was really excited.
Believe him? How should I know? He lies about everything else. Larry says Keystone Clash is September 23rd to 25th. That is a month where we don't actually have.
That's right. No, I just remembered the timing because that had happened like pretty much right before, or relatively quick, like soon before we went to Ohio.
Yeah.
And
Ohio's not until November.
right,
Yeah.
but like around that.
Ohio meaning the Ohio Cichlid Association
Yeah.
Extravaganza. Yeah. So that's the deal there. Shy Savage Cichlids. Will you be having some cichlids for next fish swaps? Yes, but they'll almost all be Lake Tanganyika shell dwellers and rock dwellers. So that's what I've got hanging in the fish room right now. No, I haven't pulled any Mbuna in a while. I should, because I have rusty females that are constantly holding a Psiloci. And now we're in a situation where, Whips World says Breakfast Club. Yep, you got it. But now we're in a situation where we're running out of space quickly. So pulling even some of the fish are like, where am I going to put them? All right, let me see here. Mary Beth, suddenly something in my water is removing the color from my filter floss. The floss is coming out white when I rinse it out. What could be causing this? So the filter floss, is that one like where it's like the blue bonded, where it's got a blue side and a white side, and then like green or white or something like that? I don't know. I don't know if that's ever happened, or I've just never paid attention to it. Like maybe it could happen if it gets old and you just rinse it, if you rinse it out and just put it back. I don't know. I wish I knew. But as long as your fish are healthy, who cares about the floss, right? I mean, maybe it doesn't look as nice, but yeah, as long as it's not harming the fish, I don't know if I'd worry about it too much. All right, what do you got over there? You've been kind of quiet because I've been talking.
You have been talking.
I've been talking.
Let's see. You've got a you've got a super chat down there.
All right, well hold on. No,
is it stuck?
No, it's not down there. I think I already covered the one. Which one? Maybe you weren't paying attention.
That one.
Flood City Fish Keeper. Yeah, that was the one with the Epsom salts. I answered that one.
Okay,
maybe,
so I was reading very intently. Okay.
Yeah, maybe you ought to be more aware. Anyway, I saw a question from, I think it was TB, and asking about Aquachella, Chicago, any pointers if you decide to go. Well, it's awesome. So here's the thing when it comes to any Aquachella, it doesn't matter where it's at. I think people probably get the most value out of the VIP tickets because that allows you to go both Saturday and Sunday. It allows you to get in earlier than everybody else. And so what is it, 10 o'clock for the VIP? I think it's 10 o'clock for the VIPs.
Think so.
Usually, and it changes between Saturday and Sunday, but generally speaking, at least on Saturday, it would go something like 10 o'clock for the VIPs, 11 o'clock for the early bird, and then it's like noon or 1 o'clock for everyone else. Sunday, I think the times all shift a little bit up. Not the VIP time, but maybe general admission might shift from 1 o'clock until noon, up to noon. The other thing for the VIPs is I believe they get the shirt. Mm-hmm. They get to do the meet and greet. So if you've got a lot of people you want to meet, it's less crowded. So you get to spend a little bit more time with if you've got people you want to talk to that are fish YouTuber people. So that's something. And then
donuts and coffee.
Yeah, and then usually we have the donuts and coffee for the VIPers too in the fish tube booth. So, so at least for that side of it, that's pretty cool. And then at least in terms of, if you're not familiar with Chicago, it's at I always say Schaumburg Convention Center, but that's not actually what it's called. But it's the big convention center in Schaumburg, right next to Schaumburg Woodfield Mall. Mm-hmm. I would say it's on a good day with no traffic, you're probably looking at a 45-minute drive into the city from there. On a normal day with traffic, it could be a little bit longer. So if you're planning to do the city type stuff, it can be a little bit of a longer drive because we're out in the suburbs, which I think is actually better because it's just less congested. It's less crowded. It's a little bit easier. Parking is easy. So that's all nice. Mm-hmm. Nanners, thank you for the super chat. Hi, I have Neolamprologus similis. Should I do anything to their shells like cleaning during tank maintenance? Unrelated, how do you feel about products like Minfin? Okay, so answer the first question. Do you need to clean the shells? No. I definitely leave them alone because you never know when they're going to have fry in there or there could be fish in there. So I never touch the shells. The parents, they'll clean out, if there's fish waste or something there, they will shake their little tails and you'll see stuff come out of the shells. Tops of the shells, I actually like it when they get a little bit of algae because you'll actually see the little baby tiny fish. They'll start picking at it. I love when there is, it's not green hair algae per se, but it's a green algae it's a little bit longer. That stuff is really great. Love it when that's on there. Minfin, I don't know what that is. I feel like I should, but have you ever heard of that? So if you can elaborate, you don't have to leave it on the super chat, but elaborate on what Minfin is. I don't know.
I can't even picture like a package.
Yeah, me neither. Let's see here. Oink Master Supreme Forever. Jason is absolutely right. Get your VIP tickets. You won't regret it. I'm glad you think so.
Yay.
So again, that was just, and plus the other thing too is, if you know you've got 2 days, you don't have to worry about running around and trying to get everything in and feel like you're rushed. So there's a lot of speakers on Saturday and Sunday, so you can go and listen to some of the talks. You can go walk around. You can just kind of go at your own pace. And it's one of those things where I missed a substantial amount of the vendors, and it was just one of those things.
Yeah.
And even for people, you got to walk around a couple times and take your time, and it works out better that way.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, Mr. Fish. My angelfish is chasing around my tetras that enter his space in the water column, even when my otos try and clean the front panel of the glass, he chases them away. That's an angelfish for you sometimes. They do that. That's not uncommon. There's not a lot you can do about it. I don't know what size tank you have. The larger the tank, obviously the easier it is for the angelfish to kind of find their own place to hang out. But, especially with something like a 29 gallon or even a 40 breeder, sometimes they'll be like, okay, this is my spot and I'm going to assert my dominance. And yeah, it can happen. Mm-hmm. What you got?
Kevin and Lisa would love to actually see you gravel vac a planted aquarium. I am new to planted aquariums and struggle with how to vac and when and how to trim plants.
That's pretty cool. I think
that would be fun.
Yeah, I think you should put that down in the book of ideas. The book of here. Hold on.
That might be in my book of ideas.
Well, whatever. Look, it's the book of ideas. So right here, she writes it down. Mm-hmm. Well, now you got to write it down. So how we do whatever, and yeah, that could probably be something. It doesn't matter what channel it goes on, but the plant trimming thing definitely should be on your thing.
Yeah, I've already promised that one.
Okay.
Trim plants.
Well, we don't want to unpromise something.
Don't steal it.
I'm going to steal it.
Don't steal it.
Because you took my idea about Aquachella, and now I'm going to do a video.
Who knows what?
I'm going to put out a special video tomorrow. How to gravel vac your planted tank and trim your plants.
Yeah, and how to trim your anubias. You'd probably do that.
I'd probably just right down to the rhizome nub. Yeah. I trimmed all the anubias off. I heard this helps, like everything. And just be like,
just cut off the leaves.
I cut the rhizome into 50
Half
pieces.
the leaf.
Someday I'm going to have 50 new plants.
No, you won't.
Nope. Mark, thank you for being a member for the last 2 months. I appreciate it. Be careful when doing water changes during a live stream. Went within a half inch of overflowing.
Oh no.
Yes, that would be something you'd want to be careful about. I might have mentioned this, but Luke and Eli do all of our tank maintenance. So I don't really do a lot of tank maintenance. Well, not yours, but they do the vast majority of the tanks. Well, Eli decided, he's 14, and we decided he was going to play one more year of baseball because he's going to high school next year. And the deal was that if he did that, I would do, on a rotating basis, one of his sides. He's got 3 sides to do every week, and I would just alternate and do one of those every week. Well, I'm a little out of practice, like doing a bunch of tanks at the same time. So the other day, I don't think I told you about this. The other day, I'm draining like 3 tanks. So I'm draining 4 tanks. I'm cleaning sponge filters, and then I started filling. Well, you can only fill 1 tank at a time. Well, I got to the point where I'm doing all these tanks. I turn around, the multi-tank, that, the 50-gallon lowboy, the water's going over, just starting to go over the edge.
No.
I just turned around. I don't even think water hit the ground yet, because I turn around, I'm like, I totally forgot I was cleaning it, like filling a tank. Totally forgot. It was starting to overflow. By the time I got there, water was starting to hit the floor. So it wasn't a total catastrophe. And then I'm like, oh my gosh. And I had to take a gravel vac thing and siphon some of it out. I understand that that scariness. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Not good.
David asks, is it possible to control aggression for African cichlids? Yeah, it's possible. There's multiple ways you can do it. One is, I think, making sure you've got a large enough tank for them to feel comfortable, and two, the stocking levels. Now, African cichlids, that's a big category, right? I mean, they behave differently depending if we're talking about Malawi, Lake Tanganyika, Lake Victorian. West African cichlids behave very differently. But let's just assume we're talking about Lake Malawi cichlids, so it's your peacocks and your mbuna. Mbuna I find very simple, because if you give them a large enough tank, like a 75-gallon, and you overstock it with 25 or 30 fish and keep the aquascaping relatively simple like we've done, we have no issues with aggression. That tank's been up and running for years and years and years, and never had a problem in that tank. Peacock cichlids, and we did that video, peacock versus mbuna, and this was one of the reasons why. I actually find the all-male peacock cichlid tanks harder to manage in terms of their aggression, because they get larger, and the dominant males tend to exert, in my opinion, more force and more assertiveness in a tank. And therefore, I really want a larger tank. And so with the peacocks, I would really prefer to have a 6-foot tank, like at least 125-gallon, 150, something like that. Although we have been able to manage it in a 75-gallon, it's not ideal. But again, same thing. We're overstocking. I haven't found it to matter a whole lot if you've got females. I know a lot of people are like, just do all male peacock tank. It'll cut down on the breeding aggression. I don't know. I've never taken the time to do all males. I've done a mixed, and it's been fine as long as you've got a overstock tank and the right size. So that's my philosophy. What you got?
From Son of a Quack. Finally got a Inkbird controller for my heater. Is that right?
I don't know. I don't know.
For my heater, I have a bamboo shrimp, pygmy cories, and platies. Want to move them into a temporary tank. It looks like about 5 to 6 degree Fahrenheit difference. Can I just plop them in?
I would probably prefer to float them a little bit. 5 degrees is not horrible, but it's not the best either. So I would like to float that a little bit. All right, let me see here. What else do we got going on? I was going to say something, and then I forgot. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure it'll come back to me later. Fur babies, I am getting a 55-gallon with parrot cichlids and tiger barbs. Any suggestions for it? Fish and substrate. If the parrot cichlids are the blood parrots in a 55, long term, you may only want to put one in there. As they get a little bit older, sometimes they'll chase each other around. But the combination, parrot cichlid, tiger barb, is probably going to be fine. Tiger barbs, I would go very heavy on the stocking, 20 to 25 at least. Substrate, doesn't matter. It's whatever you want. I've kept the parrot cichlids on sand. I've kept them on gravel. It didn't seem to matter all that much. But the parrot cichlids, like I said, when they get to be more closely, adult size, sometimes they get aggressive, sometimes not. But yeah. All right, what else? Dave from Iowa said, let's hit 200 likes for a great stream. I guess so, man. I mean, again, when Dave from Iowa speaks, I think it's best we all just listen. Let me hit the little thing. Tink. No,
do it.
I didn't do it. I didn't do it, man. Let's see. Raymond at Rian. Okay, you're talking to other people. Matthew does stuff. Any tips on putting an auto feeder on a tank with a divider in it? If the divider's in it, you're probably not going to be able to do one auto feeder, because I don't think the food's going to get to their side. So if it were me and I had a divider, I'd probably have to, unfortunately, just do 2 auto feeders, I think. Like, Master, for babies, have you had blood parrots? How many do you have? How large are they? Yeah, in fact, Link Masters, that's a good person to ask, because she's got, I don't know how many you have. I don't remember, but you definitely have some. But I thought your tank was a little bit larger too. Maybe not. I am scrolling around. And by the way, if you want us to more easily zone in on your question, put the at Primetime Aquatics in front of it, and that makes it a little bit easier for us to see.
Mm-hmm.
So, Steel Waves. Is a well-cycled filter in a new aquarium okay to start a multi-tank, or should I keep other fish in it first? It depends on how heavily your tank is stocked. So if you are, let's just use an example. It's a 20-gallon long. You're going to put a half a dozen multis in there. You've got cycled media in a filter. You're probably going to be fine. If you were doing 20 multis in a 20-gallon long and you just had cycled media, you might have an ammonia spike for a couple days. That would probably resolve relatively quickly. So as long as the tank is stocked lightly from the beginning, usually the well-cycled filter media is sufficient. Now I remember what I wanted to do. I wanted to do the giveaway.
Oh, yay. Oh my gosh.
And yes, I'm back to using my Visco Girl Hydro Flask because Joanna brought up the wrong water bottle. So
It was on the counter.
I don't even care.
You have more water bottles than I do now.
I don't know
I thought
why.
I had a problem.
Well, who keeps buying these water bottles? You do.
Well, no, you
I
lost
bought
one.
I
You
bought the
that.
Visco Girl one.
And then I got you a Harley one
'cause I
for
didn't know.
Christmas.
Yep. And I don't know what that's downstairs. Well, you should have brought that one up. That's on you, man. That's all on you.
It's on me.
Instead
Wait,
you
I got
didn't.
a question here from
Okay.
Alice. What's some good low light plants for a 5-gallon betta tank that's not Anubias? I would say Bucephalandra would be a great choice, as would Crips. Crips will do fine. Even you can use Crip parva, a slightly smaller one if you'd like. And then what else? Microsword will do just fine.
Yeah. All those things.
Yeah.
All right, let's see here. P. Cray, thank you very much for the super chat. Hello, all. Had a gubby. Literally do nothing, but I'm going to assume that's supposed to be guppy.
Guppy. Yeah. Guppy.
That's bees.
Yeah, I know. PCIs. PCRA. Guppy.
Oh, okay, I got you. I
Correction. Guppy.
I knew what you meant. I had a guppy, literally do nothing but swim my filter stream 2 days straight. He passed today. Is there something I should have done? So it was in the stream. I wonder, okay, so 2 things. Is the filter stream really strong? So could it have been something where the guppy was getting exhausted? Right, so I'm thinking hang on back filter in like a 10-gallon tank and it's pouring out a bunch of water and it really can't escape it, so it gets exhausted, has a hard time chasing the food around because the food's blowing around. If that's not the case, it could have been in the stream because there was something wrong, getting oxygen, and sometimes that water coming out of the filter because of the movement and the surface agitation, there's a little bit more oxygen there. So I don't really know if there's something you could have done. I have had some not great luck with just your standard big box store-bought guppies. I've always struggled with them. The guppies that are in our fish room have mostly been guppies that we've gotten from places that are really specialized in breeding them. A lot of the guppies we get from our clubs. So that's what we've done. So it might not have been anything that you did. It could just be that the guppy just wasn't, a healthy fish. We see that more and more now, I think, as we're bringing in larger volumes of fish. There's just sometimes you might have 100 fish come in and 10 of them die. There's nothing you can do about it because the other 90 are fine. It's just sometimes things don't work out. And when we have fewer fish and we're not seeing that in massive volumes like we do sometimes, you start to think, oh my gosh, I got this one guppy or I got these 3 Cory cats and they died. Well, yeah, maybe. And maybe it wasn't anything that you did. It was just those just happened to be a little bit weaker genetically or something. So.
Manuel wants to know, my Java fern has roots on its leaves. What do I do with it? Leave it. That's great. It's making babies. So you can leave them, the plants, on the leaves until they get a little bigger and then just kind of gently pull them off, or they'll probably fall off on their own. But yeah, you've got yourself some baby Java ferns.
Baby Java ferns, for sure.
Sweet.
That's cool. All right, you want to do this giveaway?
Yeah.
Are we going to do this?
Yay.
Okay. So hold on, I got to scroll all the way down. So just, again, couple things. One, not obviously, but unfortunately, we can only ship in the continental United States because we can't ship across overseas or to, Hawaii or something like that. So the winner needs to be in the continental U.S. What we're going to do here is what we got today. For all of you shrimp lovers, we have Shrimp King. This is the 5-in-1. So you're getting 5 different things in one.
Yeah.
It has a retail value of like $18 on flipaquatics.com. So, and I just checked, by the way, I just checked Flip Aquatics, and they've got a bunch of new fish in that I've never seen them carry before.
Oh,
They
no.
had electric blue acara, they had clown loaches, they had bristlenose plecos. So for those who are familiar with Flip Aquatics, they've really always done really tiny fish, but it looks like they were able to get a few different types of rainbow fish, the dwarf neon rainbows. I thought I saw threadfin rainbows on there as well
Really?
in stock. They have a bunch of fish in stock. So
Ooh,
Flip
boy.
Aquatics is a channel sponsor. They send us stuff that we can in turn give away to you. So again, if you enjoy what we do, hopefully you will support our sponsors. Flip Aquatics and Fritz Aquatics are our 2 channel sponsors for 2020. We're in 2022, right? So check them out because they do good things, and I think most of the people who order from them have a pretty good experience. Shrimp, nanofish, all things that way.
Shrimpy.
So the 5-in-1, I cannot possibly read the
You can't.
back.
So I'm going to read them.
Okay,
But
so what's in there?
it's called the Discovery Pack. So you get 5 different flavors for your little friends. It would be a great stocking stuffer for your shrimp, I think. Don't you think?
Sure.
Birthday presents, whatever.
Yeah.
It's got, let's see, snow pops and leaf mix, complete protein and mineral. So lots of different flavors and colors.
And the snow pops
So
are
cute.
one that I particularly like because that's
Yeah.
just that's fun to feed
It
them.
is
They just
fun.
go crazy.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. So
It's really cute.
what we're going to do today is I think we are. All right. Let's see. How do we want to do this? We're gonna. Well, you got to write down.
We only give one number. I think Matthew asked if we only put one. Yeah, we pick one number.
Yes, it's the first person who gets the number that she writes down. So write down a number.
Between what and what?
Oh, let's go between 50 and 75.
Between 50 and 75?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's going to be a number 50 or greater, and then, but don't start yet because I don't even have the number yet. So, and it's going to be 75 or less. And as soon as I type in the go, that's when it's official. So if you put a number in already, it's not going to be counted until I say go. And then we're going to, as soon as you see the thing, boom. Now, all right, now it's the go. What do we got here? Okay. So after the go, we have,
Did you
stop. I think I see it. No. Hold on. Hold on. Do we have it?
Yes.
All right. What do we got?
You know my number, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to double check it here first.
All right. So is it this one?
Yes, I
All
believe
right.
so.
So
I'm
we
gonna
have a
double
winner.
check.
So we can stop typing in the numbers if you would be so kind. Yeah, that is the winner. Are
Making
you
sure
ready?
here. Go. I saw go. Okay. Yeah.
Is Amir. Amir
61.
Hassan, you are the winner.
Woo! Yay!
So congratulations. So here's what, Amir, here's what you have to do. You have to send us an email at primetime giveaway, all one word.
Singular giveaway.
Yeah, primetime giveaway at yahoo.com. Send us your address and we will send you this delicious shrimp food.
That's
So
right.
congratulations to Amir. Thank you
Yay, that
everybody
was
for
fun.
playing. You guys typed in so many numbers. It's amazing. It's amazing how fast this thing moves.
Yeah.
So
Sheesh.
yeah, and then we'll have another one. We usually try to do a couple a month, and we're gonna do. Next one's gonna be a big one. So
Really?
next, yeah, I've got some cool stuff that we haven't given away yet. So yeah, it's gonna be really cool.
Yay.
I think you will like it. Is all I'm going to say about it. But thank you for playing along. All right, let's get back into the questions and whatnot, and not what. Let's see here. So what normally happens, by the way, is if you ask the question before the number pandemonium, sometimes it's hard to get back up to the top of the chat because it just
Yeah.
fills. Although I am seeing some of the stuff. Corleone, thank you very much for the super chat. Thank you from Iowa. Well, thank you.
Hi, Iowa.
So did you know, if you're from Iowa, a little shout out to the Quad City swap. So for those of you who are in the Iowa area, so I guess that'd be Iowa. I don't know how far that is from like Minnesota, parts of Wisconsin, northwest Illinois. The Quad City swap, I've never been there, but I am constantly hearing good things about it. I do want to get out there. I don't think we'd be able to bring fish because it's so far away, but I think it would be cool to at least check it out because I hear it's a good one. Let's see here. Whip's World are Flip's electric blue car reasonably priced or around. I keep hitting. Oh, that's right, Flip because or Whip, Flip. Yeah, you were looking for them. For online pricing, I think they're right in line with what everybody else is doing. So check them out. Again, I think most people who get fish and shrimp from Flip Aquatics tend to enjoy the experience, at least from what I've heard. All right, let me see here. Bruce says, I don't think that's going to fit in a sock big enough for a shrimp. Yeah, I think you're right.
Oh, that's right, because they would have tiny little socks.
And they would have a lot of socks, too.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. That would be something that you would
Excellent
probably
point.
not want to do is buy your shrimp little tiny socks for Christmas or birthdays or whatever, because you'd have to buy a lot.
I still
and then
think,
if they lose one, oh my gosh, what a mess that would be.
I still think that they should have a cartoon out. You know, they put out cartoons, lots of different things. Well, like Nemo, saltwater, ants, all these different things. Why don't they have either on freshwater fish or a cartoon with shrimp? That would be so fun.
They could do like Bluegill Island.
Oh.
Not quite what you're thinking?
No,
Yeah.
maybe cichlids or something, or bettas.
All
Bettas
right.
would make a great cartoon.
Sure.
Like knocks frozen right out the water.
Dang.
Or shrimp. I think
Okay.
shrimp would make a cute
Maybe.
cartoon.
Ryan says, I'm brand new to fish keeping. Well, I'm glad you're here.
Welcome.
This is a cool place to be. All these wonderful people watching and in the chat are very helpful.
Mm-hmm.
I have a 36-gallon tank. I'm assuming that's the 36-gallon Bullfront, maybe, which is a cool tank. Even if it's not a
Maybe. Yeah.
Bullfront, it's still a cool tank. I would like to keep guppies. Do I need a bubble filter alongside my 50 Fluval filter? Nope, you don't need it. Sometimes people like it just because it adds a little bit of interest to the tank, you know, having stuff bubble up. So I'm assuming you're talking about the sponge filter. You do not need a sponge filter along with the hang on back. When people do that, sometimes they like the redundancy. So let's say your hang on back filter broke. Well, you've still got the sponge filter going with an air pump, and so that can basically hold you over until you replace the hang on back. But you could make the argument that any filter could break. So do you need it? No. But you can always add it if you want to. But from biological filtration standpoint, you won't need it. And certainly from a mechanical filtration standpoint, your 50 Fluval filter will do just fine in your 36-gallon Bullfront, which will be a cool tank. Congratulations. Let's see. What you got? You got something?
Yes, let's see here.
I'm going
There.
back.
Oh, Drew says that there was a shrimp character in Shark Tale.
I don't think I ever saw that.
Yeah, I know you would have seen it at least once, way back in the Wayback Machine there.
No, I'm pretty sure I skipped that one.
Oh, I remember him. Yeah. Yeah, I remember him.
They should have had
Vaguely.
one of SpongeBob. That would have been an interesting character.
Would have.
I mean, they had Plankton. That was pretty cool.
Mm.
It's JC. Hello. I would like to know if goldfish eat ghost shrimp. I have some 4 goldfish, and I just add 7 shrimp. Oh, yeah, they'll eat the heck out of those things. So here's an interesting fun fact about ghost shrimp. I think a lot of times they are misunderstood as far as shrimp go. They don't actually do all that well in straight fresh water. And that's one of the reasons why a lot of people buy the ghost shrimp from a Petco or PetSmart and try to keep them as a pet. Really, what their primary purpose is in freshwater is food. So, but goldfish will definitely eat ghost shrimp. They will enjoy that quite a bit. So if that's not your intent, probably don't keep them together. But yeah, they'll get eaten, most likely. Let me see here. Robert was like, wow, I was off by 1.
Oh.
That's so frustrating. I can only imagine. The humongous amount of disappointment. It's okay. It'll be better. Ulysses, I put it up before him. Dang. Did you put it up before the go, though?
Yeah.
That's probably it, because you have to wait for the go.
Mm-hmm.
You have to wait for my signal.
There were quite a number of numbers that went before the go.
Yeah. Usually I do a better job of that where I don't even list the numbers and I hit the go first and then I tell people the numbers. But you didn't have one written down and we didn't talk about it ahead of time, so it's all your fault.
Okay.
Can we blame you?
Sure.
I'm gonna blame shift. Is that okay? No, I won't blame shift. It's on me. It's on me, man. I did a bad thing.
Blue Cat 42 wants to know, does Flip ever get CPDs in stock? I'm thinking of adding some more to my current school of 7 next month.
I think they're in stock right now. I just checked right before the live stream. Like I said, when I was scrolling through, I was like, where's some of those plecos? And then I was like, clown loaches. And I saw the electric blue car. He's got rams. Yeah, there's like a whole bunch of stuff.
I know that some of the ones that you really have to jump on are the green kubutai and the blue tetras.
Oh, and he's got the maculata rasbora.
And axolotl.
Spider rasbora. He's got those too, which are extremely pretty rasboras. So,
some of
pretty
them.
Cool.
And somebody, I forgot who mentioned, they got the yellow neocaridina from him. I have those too. They're some of my favorite shrimp. They have basically like a neon yellow stripe down their back. Oh, beautiful.
Oh, Ruth just asked a really good question. How do you know? This is a really good question because usually the question is phrased the opposite way. Her question is, how do you know if you are not feeding enough food to your fish? Usually people are worried about overfeeding. Not feeding enough. How do you know? Well, they will be skinny. So that's one way. I'm thinking especially of a situation we have a community tank and maybe you've got some like cory cats, or like we talk a lot about the plecos and otos and stuff that need, sometimes people don't feed them because they think, oh, they're just going to eat the algae, and then they do that and then they don't get food, so they start to get skinny. They might be undersized. So usually if you're not feeding enough, it's gonna impact them where they're gonna be just skinny looking compared to what you would see maybe on the internet. So if it's something you're concerned about, like let's say, oh, I've got 10 black neon tetras and I wonder if I'm feeding enough. Well, if you go on the internet and you start doing Google Images and you see how most of the black neon tetras look on Google Images and you look at yours, you're like, ooh, they're pretty skinny. Then that might be an indication that you're not feeding enough. Usually, people will say you put your food in and as long as they've eaten it within a couple of minutes, that's probably enough. If you do that and they devour it in 15 seconds, you're like, I'm going to put a little bit more in, and they do that again, then you're kind of getting an idea of how much they can eat. But it comes with time, I think. You just start to, it's really hard to explain sometimes. It's just one of those things where all these different fish, you're like, all right, throw that in there. Just based on how aggressive they're eating, they'll eventually, if they're getting full, they'll put something in their mouth and then spit it back out again. So, yeah.
Yeah, and it's always better to feed a little less than too much.
That's a true story. Yeah.
True story. Let's see. Rianne wants to know, my 55-gallon with plants has been cloudy for weeks. My only problem is that my nitrates are kind of high. I've tried everything, including large water changes. Any tips?
So, all right, cloudy 55-gallon with plants. And nitrates are a little high. So I don't know exactly what nitrates are a little high means. Does it mean 25, 30, 35 parts per million or 100, right? If it's in that, usually you're not going to get a ton of cloudiness if it's in that 20, 30, 35, maybe even 40 parts per million. It's usually not going to make the tank overly cloudy unless the tank is still new. So do we know how long the tank has been set up? Because even with plants, you could still go through a balancing process where you're going to get some cloudy water. So that could be part of it. If it's a tank that's been established for a long time, it's like all of a sudden it just starts going cloudy. I start looking for dead fish. I definitely, and it sounds like you've already done the water testing. So you know that you've got no ammonia, no nitrite. You said your nitrates are a little bit high. So those are the things I'm looking at. Did I just change a bunch of filter media out? And now maybe, that could be an issue. Maybe I've got a little bit of an imbalance there. So it could be any one of those things. Or if you put something new in the tank, like, hey, I just put this rock in there, and it turns out the rock's kind of soft and it's putting stuff in the water column.
It can, yeah, especially Dragonstone can hold a lot of clay in there, and that can cloud up your tank. Yeah. Which it'll take a number of water changes to clear that up.
Candy says, I really like these giveaways. They teach me about new products I didn't realize existed. Well, thank you. We like the giveaways too because we get to give the stuff away. That's fun for us.
Yes.
That was one of the things we wanted to do more this year is give away a bunch. And we got some stuff planned. Big dreams, small wallet. Did you end up looking at the Discus post on GCC? Oh, yes, I did. GCCA site with the Discus X logo. Yeah, that was all legit. So I did go back to the GCCA board. I shared that email that you sent with to me about that, and they responded that that is, in fact, all a legitimate thing. So I was going to follow up, and then I forgot. So I'm glad you asked the question. Let me see here. Kitty W, congratulations. Still need advice at Primetime Aquatics regarding 2 breeding blue acara in a 60-gallon community tank. Not sure, as unexpected we don't breed fish. So far have wigglers, but no idea move or leave. Okay, so you got a couple of electric blue acara in a 60-gallon tank. They just bred their very tiny fish. What I do with them depends on what else is going on in the tank. So you said community tank, which means that there are most likely other fish in that tank. If that's the case, you will over time see your baby electric blue acara most likely go missing more and more and more, because even though the parents, generally speaking, do a good job, you're going to see that they get more aggressive. You're going to see that they push fish away, which can be a problem if you've got other smaller cichlids in the tank, slow moving fish, cory cats, things that are like, I don't understand why you're being so mean to me, man. They're just going to want to get them out. So you could have a couple things going on. One is the aggression, because the parents are just trying to protect their babies, right? It's not that they're just going crazy for no reason. If you remove the fry, sometimes that will make them less aggressive. Sometimes the male and the female start getting mad at one another if that happens too, so be careful there. The other thing you could do is, if you leave everybody in, your fry are going to go missing, or you could try to remove the other fish in the tank. So, I mean, even smaller fish, if you've got like medium-sized tetras, if you've got some swordtails or mollies or platies, they might decide, oh, wow, that's fish food. That's pretty cool. Look at all those little tiny bites swimming around. So A, remove the other fish, leave the parents in with the fry. That's fine. B, remove the fry, but if they're really tiny, you might have to wait a few days and you might not have as many left. But you could put them in another tank, feed them some live baby brine shrimp, and try to grow them out. Or, yeah, that's basically your options. Or just leave everything alone and see if any of them survive. All right, what do we got?
Oh, we have, let's see, Rianne said the tank is 2 months old and the nitrates are around 60 to 80.
All right, so yeah, that's a little bit on the higher side. So we could try to get that down. And when you reduce the nitrates, there's one of two ways you can do that. If you're using plant fertilizer, liquid fertilizer, cut back on it. So if you've been doing that every week and you're like, okay, I'm going to put the squirts in that the directions tell me to, cut that back to maybe half the amount. If you're not using liquid fertilizer and the problem is still high nitrates, now we're starting to think about, okay, water changes weekly. And if we're doing that already, we might have to up our percentages or move to multiple times a week just to try to get that even with the plants. I don't know if I like that much above 30 parts per million.
Pine tree buds. How many Embuna cichlids can you put in a 60-gallon tall? My local fish store said 25. I clean and do water changes every 3 to 5 days.
Okay, yeah, the tank maintenance on your part's going to be cool. That's not a problem. So you said a 60-gallon tall. So I am familiar with the 60-gallon tanks that I've seen are basically a 55-gallon, just a little bit taller. Or they can be kind of like a 40 breeders. So either way, I think if it's a 4-foot tank, it would be better. 25 seems, if it's 4 feet by 12.5 by probably around 23-ish, is probably the 60-gallon. I had a 60-gallon. That's about what it was. This was many, many, many years ago. You just have to be mindful of the 25 that you're going to keep. I don't know if I would start there. I would probably go with small Mbuna like Pseudotropheus silosi, like the rusty cichlids, maybe some yellow labs, although they're slightly larger. I might try to stay with like maybe that trio of fish, and maybe do 6 of each and see what happens. I think that could work, but I don't know if I'd go 25, and I definitely wouldn't do any of the larger ones. So stay away from Pseudotropheus acei. Great fish, and actually a relatively non-aggressive Mbuna, but they get way too big. Bumblebee cichlids get way too big. The red zebras might be a little bit too much. Johannes would be a little bit too much in a 60-gallon in terms of aggression. Yeah, I would probably stick with those 3. I think you'll have the most luck and probably the most enjoyment. What else we got here?
Oh, Wendy said that she got blue axorati from
Oh, good.
Flip.
Yeah, they have those in stock too.
Those
Those are cool
bad.
fish.
Yeah.
I like those a lot. Vanessa says, hi, what do you think regarding filters that have cartridges that get changed out versus filters like AquaClear? Should I get rid of my cartridge, hang on back, beta copies, tetras, 10-gallon, and a 20-gallon? So I'm of the opinion that all hang on back filters can be, the cartridges are not necessary. So, you know, if you've got Marineland, you've got Aquarium, you've got the top fins, all of those come with those little slide-in things. We have a bunch of Marineland hang-on-back filters. I really like the Marineland Pro Series. I also like the Seachem Tidal line, and the recent AquaClear that we've gotten has been pretty decent. So, yes, the Marineland Pro Series comes with the cartridge thing, but they also sell a plastic piece that you can just put filter floss in and just slide that in. For us, we don't even use that. We just take filter floss and just stick it back there, and it works just fine. We don't put any type of cartridge thing. It's just a ball of filter floss. We do it with that. You've got an Aquarium Quiet Flow in your 20-gallon. That's how we roll with that. So you don't need to waste your money on it. I shouldn't say waste your money, but you don't need to buy another hang-on back filter. Just don't buy the cartridges anymore for the filter that you have. Just get bulk filter floss. You can get that on Amazon. You type in filter floss on Amazon. I just did it because I almost ran out, because usually we buy these big giant rolls from Gemco, but Amazon, you can buy it, stick it in the back, don't worry about the cartridges anymore, and save a ton of money, because the cartridges for the most part that's just where they're making their money, a lot of money. So if you want, you can keep the plastic parts of the cartridges just to kind of keep the filter floss upright, if that's something you want to do. We used to do that for the older Marineland penguin filters. We'd keep, so the cartridge would come in like that black part, and they would have the filter floss and have some carbon stuck in the middle. When it was ready to change that out, I would rip the blue part off, the floss part, dump the carbon in the garbage, keep the black piece, and then just jam the filter floss in between that black plastic piece and the back of the filter. Did the same thing. Kept the tank looking great, trapped all the stuff, saves a bunch of money. Let's see, what you got?
Noelle is here.
Noelle's
Everybody say
here.
hi, Noelle.
What's up?
Hi.
Love, Dream, and Drone. Thank you for becoming a prime time partner, primate, prime timer. Hope you enjoy it. Glad you're here. Let me see here. Let's see here. Pete Cray, thank you very much for the super chat. Anything I can spray in my fish to get them to stop eating my expensive plants?
Oh my gosh.
Nope. They're just going to eat them. You could try to make sure that they're well fed, and
man.
sometimes they'll be like, all right, I'm not gonna eat the plants because my tummy's full. But
Get him some gum.
yeah, here, just chew this instead. Get them some dog biscuits. Remember? Who ate dog biscuits so they quit smoking? You're not going to light up in my car, are you? Well, yeah. Does that bother you? Yeah, I try to stay healthy and exercise. Don't say it when you think of it, because someone's going to get it. That's a very obscure reference from a very popular movie. You're not going to smoke in my car, are you? Well, I was going to. Can I roll down a window? Well, that's not the point. Well, does it bother you? Yeah, I try to keep myself healthy. I exercise. Oh, man, you should get this one.
Oh.
Don't say it, though. Killer Kitty 08, thank you very much for the little kitty cat.
Aww.
Appreciate it. Jeff H, thank you very much for the kitty cat, too.
Aww.
Thank you. That's so cool. All right, let me see here. Carl says, can a betta and a powder blue gourami be tank mates? Maybe, but I I don't like to try that combination because there's just something about gouramis and bettas where sometimes they just don't get along. We've even had honey gouramis, which are probably one of the most docile type, and bettas, and it didn't work. So I am always very, very hesitant to put gouramis and bettas together. I'm sure some of you out there be like, I've done it 643 times and it's worked out every time. I don't like to take that chance because the gourami, especially the powder blue, it will win that battle. The betta will start out, flaring its fans and be like, oh, I'm all that. And the gourami for a while is going to be like, oh, okay, it's scary. And then one day the gourami realizes, you know what? I'm bigger, I'm stronger, I'm faster, and gosh darn it, people like me. And boom, it's like, I'm going to go ahead and rip all your fins off, Mr. Angry Betta with the gills. Yeah.
Michael Phillips and Wayne's Aquatics got it.
What'd they say?
Mel Gibson,
oh,
Lethal Weapon.
Boom, I'm so proud of you. That quote is like, is not at all something that you would relate to that movie. And nice job. That is very, very impressive. That's
Bravo.
The most impressive thing I've heard in a long time. And I just had a really good question. Oh, Joe says, and this is a great question, what does ppm mean, say, for a gallon of water? Parts per million. So that's typically what that is referencing. Parts per million. So you'll hear sometimes when we're talking about water parameters like water hardness or something, GH and KH, we can either say it in degrees hardness or we can say it in parts per million. And the way it works is it's right around, I think it's like 17.5 or 17.9 parts per million per degree of water hardness. So if you've got a water hardness of 10 degrees, like let's say carbonate hardness of 10 degrees, you're right around 100, I think it's like 175 or 180 parts per million in your carbonate hardness. So that's what that means. The tank grower, 320 watching, 185 likes. Hit the like button, y'all. Well, now we're up to 198. So apparently somebody was listening. Thank you for that. To Cooley Briscooley, I wondered why my ghost shrimp all died. Yeah, I wish in some ways that they wouldn't sell those, because why not just sell the Neocaridina, which are really colorful, really awesome, and tend to do better in a lot of water parameters.
Yeah.
So that would be the better way to go. I think it would just lead people to having better success. Ooh, this is a good question. Sue asks, what are the best water chemistry parameters for live bearers like platies and guppies? So you ideally would you'd want something pH 7.5 or above. You get closer to 8. We're at 8.2. They really like that. Water hardness, they like water that's on the harder side. So your GH/KH is going to be 10 degrees or higher. That is, you're getting to a point where they really like that. Guppies and platies and mollies and swordtails. Once you start getting into those single digit water hardness, especially like the mids and lower, and the pH that, if it's dropping below a 7, they tend not to do as well. What you got?
Little City Green just got 4 electric blue cars and only one has developed ick. Day 2 of it. Started salting and kicked it up to 82. Anything else?
Good. Yeah. Assume they all have it. So one's showing it. They've all been exposed. And if you leave it, they will all get it, because what happens in a closed system like an aquarium is, in nature, if one fish has got ick, it might not spread to the rest. Otherwise, we wouldn't have any fish left in the world. But in a closed system in a fish tank, the ick goes down into the substrate. And when it starts swimming around, it's a lot easier to find its next host when the host is basically stuck in a typical 2, 3, 4 foot length of tank water. So assume they all have it. Electric blue acara will easily go to 82 degrees. You could go 83, 84, at least in my experience. They've been fine with that. Salts, don't go crazy with the salt with the electric blue acara. So if you've added the salt, I don't know if I would go much more than a tablespoon per like 8 gallons or so. If you did a little bit more and they're doing okay, that's fine. ICX is my go-to ick medicine. In fact, I just bought a gallon of it. Did you see that come in? I was so happy.
No, but I heard you talking about it.
Well, because with all these fish that we've been bringing in lately, every once in a while we'll get a little bit of an ick thing go on. And for a while, all I had was the Copper Safe. And Copper Safe is awesome. But Copper Safe is, I've said this a million times, but when it comes to ick meds, There are two that I really like, and there are others that work, but these are the two that I know work every time. ICX, Copper Safe. ICX is great because it's safe with plants, it's safe with invertebrates, and it works really well. The Copper Safe is a more aggressive medication, but it's going to kill your shrimp, it's going to kill your snails, it's going to kill your plants, it's going to do more damage to your beneficial bacteria, and so possibly start harming your cycle. So it's like when you're using Copper Safe, it's like, all right, these fish are seriously hurt and I've got to deal with this or they're going to be in big trouble. But ICX is definitely the thing that I would try to add if you can. It works out pretty well. Mm-hmm. That is a med I love to have on hand.
Sunshine Gilbert wants to know how many sparkling gourami can I put it? Fluval Spec 5. It is a year old with like 3 tall anubias and some free floating anacris. We'll be adding more plants to block the line of sight. In a 5-gallon, one, right?
Or a pair.
A
male-female pair, and then let them breed. That's always kind of fun. But yeah, I wouldn't go more than one. We've tried it too. We've had sparkling gouramis in a 5-gallon, and that did not generally work for us. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I would either just go one, or if you know that you've got a male-female pair, that will sometimes work. But yeah, I don't know if I would do more than that. Mm-hmm. Henry
because when I had the multiple ones, it was in the 12-gallon, the bookshelf tank.
Well, that worked out okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that 12-gallon bookshelf tank was 3 feet long. So
lots of room for them to
that worked out just fine.
Yeah.
Yep. Let's see here. Henry says, can you use salt in a community aquarium and when? Yes, you can. Well, depends. If you've got plants, I would just as soon stay away from it because excessive salt will harm your plants. If there are no plants and you are dealing with fish that don't mind the salt, then a lot of people use it as a maintenance thing where maybe they're maintaining a tablespoon of salt per 10 to 15 gallons, let's say. The idea behind that is the salt helps a little bit with the electrolyte balances. It helps with the mucus secretions of the fish and therefore keeps them a little bit healthier. But the problem is if you've got salt sensitive fish, and so that's pretty much most of your loaches, your cory cats, plecos don't tend to be super crazy about salt. Some of your fish from South America, so like your epistos, your rams, they're like, I prefer not to have the salt. So you just have to be careful with the types of fish you're keeping. Now, if you are, I've got a ton of guppies, platies, mollies, swords, yeah, you can throw salt in there. If you've got African cichlids, they won't mind the salt one bit. Most of your larger South and Central American cichlids are pretty resilient. So for us, I don't add salt to our tanks. I haven't done that in many, many years. Mm-hmm. You look like you got something to say.
I do.
Okay.
You done?
Speak away.
All right. Vanessa wants to know how often should the floss be rinsed versus just thrown out and replaced to preserve the good bacteria in the tank? That's a good question.
There are a lot of good questions coming through today. I wish we could get to every single one. And by the way, if we don't answer your question, it's not because we're ignoring you or we've got like, we see this person here, we're just never going to answer their question. Which is, as I've mentioned before, we get 1,000 comments, sometimes 1,200 in the course of a live stream, and we do the best we can. Anyway, the question was what? Because it was a good one, and now I forgot it.
Do you...
Man, my beard is really jacked today. Okay, sorry.
Do you replace the
filter floss?
Filter floss or rinse it out?
Both. It depends. So it depends on what the filter floss is looking like. If the filter floss is really gunky, it's really brown, I would just as soon replace the filter floss, especially if you're buying it in bulk. It's so cheap. If it's just like a light brown, it's got a little bit of detritus in it, I can just put that under the tap water, give it a couple squeezes, little brown stuff comes out, put it right back in the tank. You can usually do that for at least a few weeks. Sometimes it'll start to break down to the point where it's not as effective anymore, but you can do both. But if it's really nasty, it's just better just to replace it. What's so funny?
TB says, I think some live bearers are born pregnant.
Yeah, you know what? I can see why one would think that. Mm-hmm. Keith, thank you for the super chat. Thinking of putting white clouds and Medaka rice fish with a few sunset variatus platies in a 29-gallon Will white clouds or rice fish eat platy fry? Probably. Probably not the rice fish. White clouds, maybe not. I think you'd probably still see some survive. It's a good combo. I think that would be, I mean, you've got basically a cool water tank there where you don't really need a heater most likely, assuming that the room that it's going to be in is mid to upper 60s or so. That'll be a really fun tank. Good combos. But the rice fish, I will say, the rice fish that we had, well, now they're all deceased, unfortunately. I don't know what happened, but we lost the last couple. They got bent spines, and then that was it. But the rice fish that were back behind Joanna's head, that was the one we talked about this a few weeks ago, where the golden least killifish, the female jumped from this tank to that one, had her babies, and then I found her and I put her back, and then the babies are still in this one over here, and they were, I mean, they're tiny fish, and the rice fish left them alone. They didn't bother them.
Mm-hmm. So cute.
White clouds are a little bit more aggressive eaters. That's the only reason why I say maybe the white clouds would possibly go after the Variatus platypus, only the fry, only because they just love to eat. They go crazy for food.
Noelle says, just found out that I'll be in Dallas for the first weekend in August.
That's good because that just happens. But what?
But it's for my parents' big 60th anniversary. Oh my gosh, so exciting. Tips for good ways to sneak out for a few hours for Aquachella. Let's see, we could send you a car. You could bring them with.
I was just going to say that. Like, and you know what you could do?
Right?
Here's how you do it. You go, Mom, Dad, happy anniversary. I am so excited. I got you the perfect gift. I got you VIP tickets to Aquachella. It's going to be off the chain. It's going to be lit. It's going to be off the hook. It's going to be on the hook.
I think they should have their very own live stream.
Chain hook, Mom, Dad, and it's going to be amazing. And because you got the VIP tickets, you get to have donuts and coffee and meet a bunch of people that you don't care about on YouTube, and it's going to be great.
That's right.
And you get to walk around for endless amounts of time until your feet hurt. You just
really
want to sit
music
down, but there won't be any place for you to sit down. So go with that. Let's see how it works. Let us know how that one works.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We'll send a car.
Yeah. Or like, Mom, Dad, I got kidnapped.
Mm-hmm.
It was.
I'll be right back.
Yeah,
how's that?
They took me to this weird place called Aquachella, and they made me walk around, and they dropped me off back in the driveway. I don't know what happened. These people were really weird.
Just say that you're out of Tom Collins mix and just run to the
Oyster Bay
Drug and Sundry.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if anybody gets that one. All out of Collins mix. Why don't you go with?
Here's another one. All right, this is from Gage. I am new and I messed up my tank. I put 16 small fish in a tank that wasn't cycled yet.
Okay.
I don't know what else to do but 50% water changes every day. The 20-gallon hex tank is just too small.
Okay, so 16 tiny fish in a 20-gallon hex. I'm assuming then we have an ammonia spike. You're doing the water changes, so that's good. I know it can feel like a lost cause because you'll test your water, be like, oh, there's ammonia. I do a 50% water change, and it just keeps coming back because that's what it's going to do. Second thing you could do is the Fritz Turbo Start. So Fritz Turbo Start has live nitrifying bacteria, and it's very concentrated compared to the Fritzzyme 7. You throw that in the tank, and those will be the microbes that eventually attach to surfaces in your tank and start to bring that ammonia down. That will save you a little bit of time, and it may also allow you to avoid the nitrite spike that is bound to happen. So that will hopefully relieve some of the stress. I know how stressful that can be. I've been there. I remember what that was like back in the day. Be like, oh, the ammonia spike. Nanners, thank you very much for the super chat. How long will ick live in a tank after fish are removed? It depends on the temperature. So if your tank temperature is mid to upper 70s, like most tropical water fish tanks would be, you could be looking at on the safe side, a couple of weeks. If the tank was like a goldfish tank and it was in the 60s, it could be a month. If you are just like, okay, you know what? I lost my fish. They had ick. I don't have any left. What I've done in those cases is I will turn the temperatures up to about 85 to 87 if there's no fish in there now. So if there's no fish, you've removed them. You want to make sure that when you put new fish in there that they're not going to get ick from the previous infection. turn those temperatures up. If you can, go 85, 86. You can dump meds in there, right? So go with your ICX, probably your ICX, because you really don't want to completely destroy your cycle in the process of doing this. And then just leave it for about a week. I mean, if there's nothing in there, and at 85, 86, first of all, at that temperature, the ick has a hard time even surviving. And anything that does survive, the life cycle is going to be so fast, in a matter of a couple of days, usually within a week, that stuff is all gone. Yeah, but be careful, because that also means with that combination, you've probably done some serious damage to your beneficial bacteria. You will not have killed them all, but you're going to want to add fish very slowly after you do that. Corleone, thank you very much for the super chat. Light brown cartridge like
cartilage. Cartilage-like substance in guppy's mouth. Let me take care of this.
All right, you do it.
×2 now. They end up dying because they can't eat. Tried removing and can't. What is this?
Light brown cartilage-like substance. So I've had this. What can happen sometimes is the fish's like tongue and stuff will actually look like there's something stuck in the mouth, and it's not. What will happen is if they get some type of internal parasite, they start to get skinny, and their mouth starts to get like pried open a little bit, and it looks like something is stuck. It's not. It's most likely, and if it's similar to what I've experienced before, it's most likely an internal parasite. So it's not something that can necessarily be removed. It's part of their actual structure. So that's what I've seen. Flood City Fish Keeper. Meet the Fockers. Close. Meet the parents, but you're in the right neighborhood, so good for you.
That's right.
Nice job. All right, let me see. I think we'll do a couple more questions, huh? Hey? Oh, there we go. Chad said, meet the parents. Nice. You guys got it. Again, that's not like a super popular quote.
No.
It's not like, Jinxie cat, where are you? I love you.
If they have opposable
thumbs,
Focker.
Focker, we're probably going to get flagged because the thing is now going to think that we said a swear word. Nice job with that one. Herd 209, does beneficial bacteria survive on live snail shells and shrimp exoskeletons? Probably. Not in like a major way where it's going to make a huge impact, but certainly on the snail shells, I would think that you're going to have. I mean, I've had snails that have algae on their shells, so yeah, there's going to be a little bit there. Sebastian, how do I avoid aggression in electric blue acara that are not breeding? Sometimes it depends on the tank size. I've had good luck with 40-gallon breeders or above. I mean, I had a big group when I did the electric blue acara species profile. There was, I don't remember how many, but 8 or 10 in a 40 breeder, but they grew up together and they got along. I've got a bunch I had a bunch in a 125. I think we've got 3 left. They've always gotten along just fine. So if if they're cramped for space, that could be part of it. If they're not from the same group, if they're not brother, sister, siblings, that could be part of it as well. If they are thinking about, maybe they're not breeding, but they're starting to get to an age where it's like, I found myself a lady and I want this area of the tank. And the other dude's like, well, I like that lady too. Or I like that part of the tank as well. That could be a thing. Try to do like line of sight blocks. That can sometimes help. So putting rocks in strategic areas where maybe they both feel like they have a little area and feel more secure. Yeah. All right. What's going on here? Let me see here. Henry says, are colored lights good for plants, or it doesn't matter? Colored lights. Plants, so when it comes to aquatic plants, most of them are green, right? They're green in appearance, which means that they are reflecting the green wavelengths of light back into the environment. So they're not generally using that spectrum. So generally when it comes to plants, the spectrum of light that they're using are like the reds and the purples and the blues, a little bit of the yellow, some of the orange, that kind of thing. Now, when it comes to like straight up color, like, oh, I put the blue lights on or I put the red light on, are they going to use that as efficiently as a full spectrum light? No. All right, let me see. Sponge says, I'm trying to grow brine shrimp. Fingers crossed, it's my first time. Live baby brine? It's not hard. So we've done videos on it. Generally what we do is we just use a 1 liter bottle And I fill, and we do this twice a day. So we've been doing it twice a day for many, many years. I've probably hatched out 650 billion million bottles of this stuff at this point.
That's a lot.
It's true. That's how many. 1 liter bottle, what we'll generally do is just cut the, so if I had a 1 liter bottle, it's got that with a screw top like a water bottle, I flip it upside down. Obviously it's empty. I cut just the top off. Then I take, well, I should say not the top. I cut like maybe this much off the top if it's a longer one. Then I use that top and I can slide that on the bottom, put rocks in there, and I can use that as kind of a weighted base, right? And then I take another top and I slide that on and poke a hole in it and put the air in there. So it's basically about a liter of water. I put 2 tablespoons of salt and then 1 teaspoon-ish of brine shrimp. Do that twice a day, and that's about what I use. Again, the video's got a more precise thing, but it's good stuff. Fish love it, especially small ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little babies.
All right, let's do one more question. We'll do one more question, and then we're going to go eat chicken wings. I haven't forgotten about that. Joanna made a dinner that was really good, but it was a small bowl, and I don't know. Well, Eli eats most of the food now because he's like a madman. So the first thing I said is, after the live stream, can we get chicken wings? And she was pretty excited. And even Eli was like, yeah, I would do that. So we're going to have like 9:30, well, at that time it'll be 10 o'clock at night, chicken wings. So I'm sure that will do a lot for my sleeping tonight as I get the meat sweats. Knowledge is power. Thank you very much for the super chat. Will using Prime during water changes give false test readings, fighting ammonia, and stuck at 1 part per million, newer tank, 55 gallon, and fish, and can't get it to drop? And 6 fish, sorry, and can't get it to drop. It will give you false readings, at least initially, as it binds all that stuff. But then it will usually give you the correct readings after it's done, usually within, I don't know, probably a few hours or so. I've never actually tested it, but it will return back to normal. Yeah, at least initially. So if you do the water change, add the Prime, and immediately put the test strip in, it might be a little bit lower than it is normally. Again, just like I said before, if I were having an ammonia issue, I'd want to get the live nitrifying bacteria in there. Even if it doesn't immediately deal with the ammonia spike, it will help with the nitrite spike, which is every bit as dangerous and damaging to the fish later on. So when you have an existing problem, the Fritz Turbo Start is the way to go. Live. It's so important. Live nitrifying bacteria. A lot of times when you go into the Petcos and PetSmarts and you pick out some of the stuff, you look at the bottles, like if it doesn't specify that, it's more or less, it's never worked for me. If it doesn't have live nitrifying bacteria, it's never done anything even remotely of benefit.
Can I have the last question?
You sure can. Yeah.
Okay. This is from Madster Garden. If your fish died in a tank with disease, what should I do to clean it? I'm afraid to use bleach.
Well, I thought you were going to answer it.
No, I'm presenting the question.
Your fish died. See, I
from
wasn't
disease.
From disease.
Mm-hmm.
And now you want to clean your tank. Well, it depends on the disease. Like
what
if
should
I just
you use?
said, if it was ick, I wouldn't break the entire tank down. I would just do what I said, and that is turn the temperatures way up in the mid 80s, dump in some IC-X or even Copper Safe, leave it like that way for a week, and I would probably not worry about it. If you don't know what caused the disease, maybe you've got an internal parasite or something really weird. Like we just had a tank where I brought in some fish and they all died within about 48 hours, and they had some really weird bacterial infection. I mean, it was like fish normal within about, I don't even know, less than 24 hours. 3 or 4 of the fish out of the 12 were dead. And then the rest of them were starting to get coated, just absolutely coated with some type of, I don't know, bacteria biofilm. I threw in a bunch of meds. It absolutely did not help at all. They all died anyway within 48 hours. So in that case, with a tank like that, that's one I would consider breaking down, where it's like, okay, filter floss is going in, any filter media is going straight in the trash. Bleach is fine. 10% bleach. There's absolutely nothing wrong with using that.
Use them to clean nets too,
Yes.
just as long as you let it dry.
I don't necessarily agree with it, but I remember my aunt used to, when she would do her tank cleaning, she used to use plastic plants because she loves silver dollars. So they would eat the plants. So she would take her plastic plants out like almost every week and put them in a 10% bleach solution. Now, I don't like that because there were beneficial bacteria on those surfaces that are now being destroyed. But 10% bleach solution is a perfectly acceptable thing. A substrate I might just toss, as long as it's not a big tank. I mean, if it's like a 10-gallon and I'm just having to buy a 10 pounds of gravel or something, if it's a 125, am I going to be tossing 150 pounds of substrate? Probably not. But yeah, that's you could certainly do that. You could use hydrogen peroxide. I don't necessarily know the hydrogen peroxide per volume that I would use though. But turning temperatures up can really be a help too. So yeah. Brittany, thank you very much for the super chat. Tank stuck at 1 part per million, ammonia, 0 nitrite, 5 nitrate, can't get ammonia to go down, 10 gallon with 1 betta, 4 cory cats. Check your tap water. Make sure your tap water doesn't have ammonia in it because that can drive people crazy. When they do a water change, immediately test their water, find that they have ammonia, and then not ever test their tap water. So if the tap water is 0, then you know that you know 2 things. One, your test strips or your liquid test kit is properly working because that can be another problem. And 2, you know that you're not dumping in water that has ammonia in it that is temporarily causing a problem in your tank. Can't get it to go down. It depends on how long it's been happening because ammonia can be very, very, it can stick around for a while. So once the ammonia spike happens, if it's a newer tank, you could be dealing with that for a couple of weeks. So just doing the water changes will help. But again, that's why I always say the live nitrifying bacteria, especially if it's a newer tank, can be very, very useful in making that go away a lot faster. But for right now, test the tap water. It should be coming out at 0. If it's not, then you're left with 2 choices. 1, your tap water has ammonia, or 2, your test strips or liquid test kit could still be bad. So if you really want to test it, you can always test it with RODI water or distilled water because then that should have 0 in it for sure. So that's the story there. All right, everybody, I think we're going to call it an evening. There was a lot of awesome questions.
Yeah,
I hope
so much fun.
Y'all do the same thing. This is what we look forward to. Write them down throughout the course of the week. Ask these awesome questions. We love answering them. Hopefully you find it useful. Appreciate all the super chats, super stickers, moderators. You guys,
you guys rock.
Did awesome tonight. Thank you for that. Looking forward to seeing you all next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. And we will see you then. Have a great rest of the week. See ya.
Bye.